You guys understand a lot of people after buying their house, they are actually burdened by the house, right? So there are different types of houses. One type is after you buy the house is, let's say, some engineers even who are making a lot of money right now. Let's say a Google engineer, two people both work for Google, and this is a couple who buys a Silicon Valley house valued more than $1 million. Now, if they're tied to the house for 30 years and month after month, they don't dare to leave their house. They don't dare to leave their company because, they have to keep the same amount of money they're making at the prime years when they get the mortgage, they have to keep it for 30 years. Now tell me how easy it is. If you're making 200,000, two people, 400,000 for a couple of years, unless if you pay off all your mortgage, if you're trying to pay this off for 30 years and have like a really expensive lifestyle, how easy it is for these people to continuously paying for 30 years without a problem. Pretty hard, right? That is one way of buying a house, which is you buy the most expensive house, you don't rent it out, you live in it, and then you're burdened by it so that you have to then keep working for somebody else for pretty much the rest of your working years and just to be able to pay off the house. That's one way of living. Another way is you are actually being a lot more flexible. You rent, you then become an investor of a house that is affordable to you. You buy it in a city where it's actually making sense to buy and rent out. It's not everywhere you think about. You'll be surprised to realize it's not everywhere in a lot of the big cities is actually not making sense. But it does make sense in some other areas. It could be a smaller city that you didn't think about living in. But there are other people who live in those places. And it's also not the same type of houses. It could be actually a rental property. It's different from let's say a single family house that you want to live in your prime years. It could be something that is a one bedroom near a resort location or a one or two bedroom that is very easy to rent out. It's cheaper to buy, cheaper to rent. Those kind of smaller units for busy working individuals or for students or for employees of other areas, other people. Could be in a smaller town. It could be, in a place that you absolutely do not want to settle down. You might be able to even afford several of those houses without trying very hard. You might be able to pay that off just with the rental itself after you save for down payment. And if the house is cheaper, the down payment wouldn't necessarily be that expensive either. So think about that. Because if you pay off that house after several years, then if the house is actually income generation generating, then many years later, you're typically, if you're still renting, the rental income is actually offsetting all the rent you have. So you can actually move within cities and still not being bothered by having to keep up with that house. Because if you're actually buying a really big house in a very prime location, you would actually find it, if it's like a really, really expensive big house, it would be harder to rent it out too. If every month you, let's say, some people buy like a $2-3 million house in the Bay Area, you'll be surprised like how many houses are like that price. If you're working for a big company right now, great. But what if there would be a situation like this, like COVID, or what if there would be a crash in the tech industry? What if there would be unemployment? What if there would be some kind of issue that would have a disruption in, your income earning ability? how much can you really predict the next 30 years? You want to have actually more flexibility than you need to buy a house that is smaller, right? You need to buy a house that's able to pay itself off. So in those kind of scenario, think about what actually makes financial sense. So I'm actually trying to challenge people to think a little bit more creatively about the possibility of buying so that you're more becoming like an investor rather than living in it. Because if it's actually, in some scenarios you rent when you are single in one room, and then when you have, if you're a couple, you rent a different type of slightly bigger. When you move, you're able to really, keep renting in different places, and the price is still within your means because every year you calculate according to how much money you're actually making, but your rental house might be already generating income for you. And in this kind of scenario, if it's a smaller house in a smaller town that is a lot cheaper, you might be able to get five of them in different parts of the country so that it's actually offsetting the, offsetting the problem of congregating in one area. Then you put the basket in different areas. So think about that as a possibility. I'll just stop right here. So if you're interested in talking more about this, or you have some ideas, if it works, if it doesn't work, it's a good idea, stupid, whatever it is, let me know. So I have my contact right here, and let me know how you feel. Take care. See you soon.